China and the US, from opposite sides of the world, are building the same fighter jet. But China plans to build it better and quicker, and that's something for the US to be worried about. As a result, the Air Force's Air Combat Commander, General Mark Kelly, made public the intentions of the Air Force to get to sixth-generation air dominance ahead of the competition. Right before he said it will not end well for the US if that doesn't happen. China, recognizing how much Chinese domination in the sixth-generation space would shake up the status quo in their favor, are on track and keeping up the pace so well that the world is likely already being treated to some unclassified Chinese sixth-generation fighter action. Fighters that are unknown, unrecognized, and unreal have been spotted on a number of Chinese military bases. In October 2021, an unusual delta-wing tailless airframe was spotted at the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation's Flight Test Airfield. And now, in 2022, an entire row of unusual fighter aircraft has appeared at a less-known Chinese airbase in north-central China. 8 in total, and out in the open for any satellite to spot. These airframes were spotted in a recent update to the Google Earth database. While there have been speculations that these airframes could be full-scale decoys or mock-ups of China's fifth-generation fighter, the Chengdu J-20, that seems unlikely, because these replications would be so far off from the actual J-20 airframe design that some employees would be needing new jobs. For instance, these airframes spotted on Google Earth have near-perfect cropped delta wings as opposed to the slightly cranked appearance of the J-20's wings, which have a prominent leading-edge root extension. They also have a narrower fuselage and smaller twin tails, among other differences. This is in no way a verdict of cheap J-20 knockoff regarding these airframes. If anything, they could be more advanced than the fifth-generation fighter. In fact, in some ways, the airframes seem to share a lot in common with some early concepts for the US Navy Advanced Tactical Fighter, the same concepts that birthed the F-22 Raptor. And with the Raptor serving as the testbed for the US sixth-generation NGAD fighter, these Chinese figures could ultimately be more similar to the NGAD fighter than any fighter in China's fleet. After all, there is proof that China is well-knowledged of American fighters. During a 2019 interview, Wang Haifeng, chief designer for the Chengdu Aerospace Corporation, said little about China's aircraft design, but discussed at length the possible elements of the American fighter. In addition to being well abreast of American fighters, China has also proven its ability to copy the concept of an already designed fighter and morph it into a homemade lethal beast. They did the same with the Russian Su-27 and Su-30 MKK, which they morphed into the, quote, locally made Shenyang J-11 and J-16 respectively. And now, they've just recently purchased Su-35s, possibly to contribute to their sixth-generation program. With an American-looking sixth-generation fighter that has Russian DNA and the Chinese J-20 as its testbed, very much an option. China may have under development a fighter packed with the capabilities of the world's 3 most powerful nations. Wang Haifeng from Chengdu revealed in the interview mentioned earlier that China is indeed conducting pre-research on a next-generation air dominance fighter to enter service by 2035. This implies the aircraft would take its first flight before the end of this decade and must already be taking shape in terms of its capabilities. There's no official report from China on the capabilities of the fighter, but they've made enough information available to paint a clear picture of what to expect in terms of the experiments with Russian aircraft and possible similarities to its testbed, the J-20. China's sixth-generation fighter is expected to be designed with stealth as a core component. Its airframe would, like the J-20, employ a holistic approach to reduce its radar cross-section. A chimed forebody, modified radar radome, and electroconductive canopy will use stealth shaping, yielding signature performance in a mature design. The diverterless supersonic inlets, which enable aircraft to reach Mach 2.0 with a simpler intake than traditionally required, and also improve stealth performance by eliminating radar reflections between the diverter and the aircraft's skin, should be present. Additional low observable features usually include a flat fuselage bottom holding an internal weapons bay, sawtooth edges on compartment doors, mesh coverings on cooling ports at the base of the vertical tails, embedded antennas, and radar-absorbent coating materials. China is currently developing a brand new super cruise-capable power plant known as the Shan WS-15. It is slated to be the most advanced jet engine to come out of Chinese borders, and it would make such a difference, once introduced, that the engines on the J-20 will be swapped out for the WS-15. However, should a delay occur, these engines currently on the J-20 would prove more than sufficient to power the 6th-generation fighter. These engines are the Shenyang WS-10C. As China remains a big supporter of twin-engine aircraft, the 6th-gen fighter could be fitted with 2 of these engines that each produce thrust up to 32,000 lbf and give the J-20 a top speed of Mach 2, service ceiling of 66,000 feet, and maximum range of 3,400 miles. For context, that's just shy of the radius of the planet, more than enough even for the next generation. The next generation fighter would aim to obtain situational awareness through advanced sensor fusion, while denying situational awareness to the adversary through stealth and electronic warfare. To this effect, it would feature an integrated avionics suite consisting of China's most advanced multispectral sensors, which provide omnidirectional coverage. These sensors could include the Type 1475 Active Electronically Scanned Array Radar, EOTS-86 Electro-Optical Targeting System, and EORD-31 Infrared Search and Track System, among others. This suite of sensors, teamed with a sensor fusion system that combines the radar signal with the IR image to provide better situational awareness, would not only make the aircraft an intelligent dominating fighter, but also enable it to be an effective battle manager via efficient data link with friendly Chinese platforms, such as other fighter jets and airborne early warning drones. How much armament the next generation fighter would wield is anyone's guess, but it's sure to be far more than the J-20 does. Along with the short, medium, and long-range missiles that the J-20 carries, the 6th generation will likely wield a rotary cannon which the J-20 lacks. The new fighter would also likely be fitted with laser-directed energy weapons, as those continue to take shape in every major military across the world. All of these would enable China's 6th generation fighter to execute its tasks of launching air-to-ground munitions for precision strike missions, launching anti-radiation missiles, and destroying high-value airborne assets. But with the American NGAD fighter being one of these high-value airborne assets, would the Chinese fighter be able to defeat the NGAD fighter? At this point, it's clear that there would be similarities between the American and Chinese 6th generation fighters. Which will defeat the other boils down to who builds their capabilities better. And in that regard, the US has managed to maintain dominance in some major aspects of a fighter jet that would make it difficult to lose in battle. These aspects are stealth, sensors, and an open architecture. Number 3. Stealth. According to the Air Force's Biennial Acquisition Report covering the fiscal years 2019 and 2020, the NGAD fighter maximizes its stealth features by, among other things, taking an overall triangular shape and having no traditional vertical stabilizers. It is the first fighter in history to be unveiled with such a design, thanks to its integration of active flow control. Active flow control uses computer brains on board to constantly adjust the flow around the aircraft to keep it airborne, similar to how the B-2 Spirit, the world's stealthiest aircraft, flies. Number 2. Advanced sensors. The NGAD fighter would be capable of spotting targets, friendlies, and points of interest from tens of miles away. This capability enables the fighter to double as a surveillance, reconnaissance, and target acquisition aircraft. The sensors that make this possible come with maximum connectivity, and thus the ability to share its data with every other member of the fleet, whether 6th generation or not, keeping every member of the US fleet abreast of relevant information in real time. To keep the sensor's accuracy at the max, help with network adaptability, and improve communication with other assets, the NGAD fighter would do away with radars mounted on the aircraft for electronically configured smart skins integrated into the aircraft's fuselage. Number 1. Open architecture. Laser weapons that can take out targets on the ground, in the air, on the seas, and even in space. A mix of high-performance guns, missiles, AETP engines capable of subsonic, transonic, and supersonic flight that cost over $6 billion to develop. Loyal wingmen, top-of-the-line electronic warfare countermeasures, avionics, and communications are only some of what to expect on the NGAD fighter. But despite this advanced tech, near-peer adversaries always find a way to catch up. And so to remain one step ahead at all times, the NGAD fighter, for which Congress has budgeted over $10 billion in the last decade, by the way, will come with an open architecture that enables it to constantly overcome new challenges on the battlefield that are introduced by the advancements of adversaries. And one major adversary is China, with their next-generation fighter of the future, which, although nameless for now, has already begun to strike fear in the hearts of every military across the world, including that of the US. To help these countries overcome their fear, you should subscribe to this channel and give this video a like, and we'll see what we can do. Thanks for watching. See you in the next.